Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of, actually this is the wrong one. The summary for the day of 593 for the 9th of October. So the most important thing is actually the Russians seems to have launched their AVDIIVKA offensive. So I will talk about it later. So because we go by sequence, so not so confusing. There's nothing over at the southern front. Over this area here, we move on into the Zaporizhia front. At the Zaporizhia front, this is the Zaporizhia front. At the Orikhiv sector, this is actually so there's some geolocation of Ukrainian forces over in the north. Actually, this is more like a western part of Nesteryanka. So otherwise, there is not much things. The Russians have major trenches around this area here. So Ukrainians holding this position is not that much of a surprising. And it doesn't really have much changes in terms of our mapping. So over at the Robotini Novoprokopivka region, there is no reports of Ukrainians attacking Novoprokopivka. It looks like this attack is not happening at this moment. The Ukrainians seems to be exhausted from the previous attack, which is last reported on the 8th. The last report of a Ukrainian attack towards Novoprokopivka is on the 8th. So this is on the 9th, and what we do have is the Russians actually conduct fire missions on the Ukrainian forces. So the Russians are attacking the Ukrainians towards in the direction of Robotine, and that's about it that we know. This information is coming from the Russian Defense Ministry, by the way. Over at Verbove itself, we have information from Surya Maps that the Ukrainians are still attacking Verbove, but this is not reported by anyone else. This is only reported by Surya Maps. And in the northwestern, not exactly sure where the northwestern is, or is it here? The Russian Defense Ministry mentioned that they went on some fire attack, the same formation as the one at Robotine. So the Russians may be attacking in this direction, or it could be here. Not sure. But what is more clear is from Surya Maps talking about the Ukrainians attacking towards the direction of Novoverorivka. So this attack is in the northwestern part of Verbove, and they did try to push in this direction. And that's about it from the Orikhiv sector. As you can see, the intensity of the war over in this area is getting very, very, very low. Over at the Velika Novosilka sector, we still have fighting being reported at Prione. The Ukrainians seems to be still attacking this area. Reports coming on today by the Vostok group of forces reporting that the Ukrainians were attacking Prione. However, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported in their morning report that the Russians attacked in the Levadne region. So this Levadne and the Russians are attacking Levadne. So, and then there's another report from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported that the Russians attacked in the Staromayorsky region. So, so the Russians are attacking in this way, and you can see that the Russians are making new moves over in the western part of Prione. So maybe the Russians want to just cut to the north and deny the Ukrainians from continue to access the northern area of Prione, so the Ukrainians are unable to attack Prione anymore. Move over on the Uruzhaine side, there is just a geolocation of Ukrainian forces just on the eastern part of Uruzhaine, confirming that the front line has not really changed. The Ukrainians are still over there. Over at the Donetsk front, so this is Donetsk front. At the Donetsk front, we have reports of fighting on the western part of Novodonetsk. This is reported by the Vostok group of forces. Oh, my link I forgot to drop. But anyway, it's the same information as the one at Prione. And Ukrainians are attacking in the western part of Novodonetsk, and that's about it. We do not know much about this thing. Over in the Voleda region, the Ukrainians' attack against Mykolaiv has been abandoned. This this attack was not reported anymore. We only have further geolocation of Ukrainian forces by military summary at this position, showing that at least the Ukrainians have some kind of a position over this area here. Ukrainian mapping shows the front line is more like this. So just take a note that the Russians' front line is likely to be not so advanced. Just that I do not have any more mapping to refer to from the pro-Russian side to compare this information. What is the previous Russian offensive reported towards Novomikhailivka seems to be still continuing, with the Ukrainian Defense Ministry reporting this offensive towards Novomikhailivka, and there is geolocation that change in the southeastern part of Novomikhailivka, showing the front line or Russian units attacking these two positions. So the Russians are advancing on Novomikhailivka, and they are getting quite close. The distance between the front line now is around a kilometer, just above a kilometer just. So it's not very, very far. The Russians are getting very close to Novomikhailivka. And according to Russian sources, they say that Novomikhailivka is very important because this allowed the Russians to attack Boyeda, because with the capture of this area here, they are able to close up this portion, and then they can cut the road because it's going to be close enough, capture Paraskoviyevka, and then they can go for Konstantinivka after that, and this will break the Ukrainian reinforcement towards Boyeda. They can capture Boyeda. So then it started to look like someone riding a bicycle. So anyway, in Marinka, there is fighting reported in Marinka as usual. The Ukrainians continue to report this over at Marinka, and that's it from the Donetsk front. Over at this main front line that I was talking about at the AVDIIVKA front, the most big thing is this rumor coming from Rusisch army reporting that the Russian forces have reached the outskirts of Berdaichi, and so Kremlin also corroborated this information. They reported this information, and then another pro-Russian channel called the Negumanitaria Pomoshis Z. This is actually a new channel that I just came about, saying that the information is actually not that correct. They say that the Russian forces have not actually entered into the village. They simply crossed the railway line. So if you look closer, the Russian forces seems to have break the railway line probably with a heavy bombardment or something. And then they broke through the line and moved towards Berdaichi, where the Ukrainians have this position. Ukraine is also holding Stepove, but the current information suggests that the Russians simply just went around Stepove, going towards Berdaichi directly. The only claims now, the closest claims that is a bit more believable, is that they have reached the outskirts, but not yet exactly and conquer Berdaichi as per the initial information seems to suggest. There is also geolocation of a heavy bombardment at Stepove. So this bombardment at Stepove basically is in an airstrike with a massive bomb. So that could also be one of the reasons that disorientated the entire Ukrainian forces in the region, causing them to evacuate from Stepove, allowing the Russians to actually go through easily. We're not sure exactly what is the situation, because I feel that the information is still a bit premature. It's still very early, so do not get too excited about this just yet. But if this is true, then the Russians will be attempting what I mentioned for months, long time ago, about the operational encirclement of AVDIIVKA. The Russians don't really need a lot. They need Berdaichi, go towards Semenivka, and then Olivka, and that's about it. With these three towns, the Ukrainians will not be able to access this road out for resupply and reinforcement. So this is actually very, very, very close. And this rumor of AVDIIVKA offensive does feel possible, because there is there is information coming from Sasha Coates. Basically, is a quote from a frontline soldier. He said that he cannot talk much. They say they are preparing for the assault, but he said that he have never seen such heavy artillery preparation throughout this entire war. He said everything is flying. There's a tornadoes. I think these are like MLRS, artillery, airstrikes, and then he's not even talking about ATGM and mortar. So he said all hell had broken loose. Even he was stunned by the amount of pre-assault preparation bombardment on the Ukrainian side. So this is also corroborated with multiple footages of heavy bombardment at AVDIIVKA, and there's also further information that the Russian forces have attacked from the south. This information coming from Ryba. Ryba cannot confirm the information about the fighting at AVDIIVKA just yet. They are only quoting the information from the Archangel side. So Ryba's reports, what they do know is that there's an attack coming from Spartak, attacking northward from the south of AVDIIVKA. So if you put all this information together at the same time, it does seems like the Russians have launched a major offensive against AVDIIVKA. The aim is Olivka, capturing AVDIIVKA, going to Semenivka, take Olivka, cut off the reinforcement. There's this push from the south, forcing the Ukrainians to decide: do you want to go up to hold this, to protect this important resupply route, or are you going to go down to hold this offensive going into AVDIIVKA from the south? I think this looks like what it is. This is the situation over at the AVDIIVKA front, and there is reports of fighting over at Vodian by the Russian Defense Ministry. So I would just take this with a pinch of salt. There is geolocation of Ukrainian forces holding at this mine region here. They are holding this position around here, but I can tell you Vodian is actually not important strategically speaking. When you talk about cutting of the front line, this resupply route, this is actually more strategically important. So that's all from the AVDIIVKA front. We move into the Bakhmut front. In the South Bakhmut region, where the Ukrainians launched their major offensive, they are still trying. Fighting is reported at Klishchiivka, Andriivka, and Kudyumivka, as usual, with the Russians counter-attacking over at Klishchiivka. Kudyumivka information coming from Russian Defense Ministry. The Andriivka is reported by the Ukrainians themselves. The Ukrainians are saying that they are still pushing at Andriivka, have partial success. I'm not sure what does that mean. My front line have not really changed that much. And also there's the attack at the Klishchiivka is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. The counter-attack is actually reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, where they claim that the Russians are attacking Klishchiivka. So that's about it in the southern front. Very, very boring as when you compare it to the situation over at AVDIIVKA. There's nothing over in the northern part of the Bakhmut front except for geolocation of Ukrainian forces in the north of Ryhorivka, which is not very important. It's just some shelling by the Russians on Ukrainian artillery. And over at the Sivers front, this is Sivers. At the Sivers front, there is just some geolocation at Sperne in the south of Ivano-Darivka, as well as in the northeastern part of Okamyamske. And these are all Ukrainian positions that simply acknowledge that the Ukrainians are still there and they are getting bombarded or attacked by drones, but does not really it's not really some major thing. It's just confirmation that the front line is actually pretty much correct on our tracking. Over in the Crimea front, this is Crimea. At the Crimea front, there is only fighting being reported southwest of Kuzmine. Southeast of Kuzmine. Oh my freaking god! This is southeast. Okay, wrong information. Okay, southeast. Okay, I'm going to correct this later. Yeah, but it's going to be southeast of Kuzmine and also in the Dniprova region. So reports coming from the Russian Defense Ministry with basically the usual. There is the rumor of the Russians having a major force gathered in Crimea, about to go into an offensive is not yet fulfilled just yet. At Makiivka, the Russian offensive over in the Makiivka region continues to be reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, with the Russians continue to push for Makiivka. And we move further up north. There's nothing over in the Sviatove front. We move into the Kupiansk front. At the Kupiansk front, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry continue to report that the Russians are attacking Sinkivka and Ivanivka. And then the Ukrainians reportedly were counterattacking over at Liman Pershi. Information, as per mentioned, is by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, and then the Liman Pershi one is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry, where they reported that they defended 4 separate attacks against Liman Pershi, where the Russians are holding a forward operating position. So this is what happening over at the Kupiansk front. Nothing very exciting. Nothing compared to the AVDIIVKA front. And this is the summary for the day of 593 for the 9th of October. Thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next update.